from 2008, like 12 years ago, or yeah, about 12 years ago, back when I was a senior in college. It was the peak of the financial crisis, and I had just finished my summer internship at Bear Stearns, but I didn't have an offer to go back to because Bear Stearns had just collapsed, or not just collapsed, was about to collapse, and so I didn't really give offers to people, and so I know where to go back to, and I had to prepare for full time recruiting, which is a total nightmare. And anyway, my friend at the time, who had already gotten an offer to return to what was Lehman Brothers at the time, um, she was giving me a mock interview to prepare me for full time recruiting. And so, anyway, she recorded me doing this mock interview, which is what this video is that I'm about to show you. But 12 years later, as she was going through her YouTube channel, she realized that she had this video on there this whole time, um, and she had just forgotten about it. So she sent it to me, and we had a good laugh about it. But to be honest, this was super embarrassing. Like, as I was watching this video of myself answering, "Tell me about yourself," which is honestly like one of the most basic and fundamental and pretty much the most common question that you're going to get in almost every single interview when it comes to investment banking, right? And just seeing how I answered this question back in 2008, um, like, quite honestly, is embarrassing to like today's version of me, knowing what I know now about interviewing. So I thought about showing you guys this last week. I didn't do it because honestly, a part of me like didn't really want to share with you guys because I was so embarrassed. But I created this poll, and it looks like 58 of you guys said yes, you want to see it, and one person said nobody cares. So to the one person that said it, man, that really hurts my feelings. No, I'm just kidding, Rashab. It's all good. But uh, it was a landslide by overwhelming demand. Seems like you guys all want to see me embarrass myself. So here we go. I'm going to play this video clip for you guys, and then I'm going to share my thoughts with you after we watch it. So why don't we go ahead and take a look?
On candid camera.
Huh? Oh.
You're being taped right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Sam, welcome to your interview. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Stop laughing. Well, you're not getting an offer.
Okay, so my name is Sam, and I'm a fourth year business major here at Cal. I was originally born and raised in Taiwan before I moved to the States at the age of 9, and I became interested in business after I taken a class in high school, and that's why I decided to come to Cal for the HOS program. It's an introductory business course, just very brief overview because it was a high school course.
Okay.
And I had a really good teacher, so that's how I got interested in business. Came to Cal and, became interested in finance after joining my business fraternity. So here I am, trying to get a job as a investment banking analyst.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what did you like about Bear Stearns? Why are you recruiting him?
I actually, did not. Well, gosh, this. Bear Stearns and SF is basically a really small office, and they, as you may or may not know, they don't get a lot of.
Okay, I'm very grateful that that video cut off right there. I see a bunch of people from back in my college days that are on this video right now, which is making me super self-conscious. What's up, guys? Terrence, Jennifer, Rita, Lee. Anyway, so really what I want to talk about is just I don't know what you guys thought about that. When I watched it, I thought that was horrible. Like, that's the complete honest truth. And I think, it was no wonder, like, looking back, it's no wonder that recruiting was such a struggle for me, right? Like, when I went through full-time recruiting, like, yeah, not having a full-time offer to go back to Bear Stearns, granted, it wasn't really my fault given what was happening in the markets at the time, but that certainly didn't help. But even aside from that, the way I interviewed was just like, it's pretty much every single thing that I would tell my client not to do nowadays, I pretty much did it, right? In terms of body language, the way I was kind of moving around back and forth in my chair, the horrible eye contact, the horrible tonality, the monotone. Um, I mean, just everything, like, answer aside, okay? Just not even talking about the content of the answer, but in terms of the way I was presenting myself, right? All the nonverbal cues. They've done studies on this where they say, like, I think what you actually say with your answer is only a very, very small percentage when it comes of like what determines whether you're successful in your interview or not. Like, the vast majority of how people feel about you is the way you carry yourself and how you speak, right? And whether you sound and look confident, right? I don't think I did any of those things, to be honest. And so that's the first thing. And then, even then, from the content itself, like the content of my answer, if you actually listen to what I was saying, it was just like my story there was nothing unique about it. There was nothing that, talked about why I was a great candidate for this job. There's nothing that made the interviewer say, oh, wow, this guy is amazing. Like, I really want to get to know him more, or I think he's going to be, someone that's going to be an awesome analyst at our firm. Like, there was nothing like that. Like, I talked about how, oh, I was born in Taiwan and grew up there, and how I became interested in business because I took this class in high school and had a really good teacher, and just all this stuff that's super irrelevant. And quite frankly, just it's like the poll option, like I said, like, nobody cares, right? So I think the point that I want to make to you guys is that, honestly, 12 years ago when I was a senior, and by the way, it wasn't like this was my first time interviewing. Like, I had already gone through summer internship recruiting, right? Like I said, I got an offer at Bear Stearns, and that wasn't my first interview. I had to go through many, many interviews just to get the Bear Stearns offer. But I had already gone through one cycle of investment banking recruiting, and prior to that, I had a bunch of other internships that I had done in private wealth management and so on and so forth. And so it wasn't like it was my first time interviewing, right? And I was in a business fraternity. Like, the person that was giving me the mock interview was actually my pledge brother from my business fraternity. And so even in our business fraternity, we did a ton of like mock interviews and practicing with each other, getting feedback from each other. And to be honest, none of the people around me gave me the type of feedback that I would have given myself today. Not because they were, being malicious, but I think partially just they don't know what they don't know either, right? Like, maybe to them, the answer sounded okay. Actually, to myself, the answer sounded okay too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be using that answer, right? But in reality, like, knowing what I know now, having been on the other side of the table, having interviewed a bunch of clients back during my days at Morgan Stanley and then later in private equity at GI Partners, and just having, worked professionally for, over 10 years now, 12 years, and having helped hundreds of my own clients, like, the level of knowledge and experience that I have now in terms of like the number of candidates I've seen do these interviews is drastically different from the amount of experience I had back then, right? And so this is what I always tell people, is that behavioral interviews are very subjective, right? It's not like a technical interview where when you have either the right answer or the wrong answer, right? Because you either be able to answer the question or you won't. When it comes to behavioral question, you're probably going to be able to answer the question no matter what. Like, they're asking you a question about you. Even if you didn't prepare for it, you could probably make something up on the spot. And a lot of people think that, hey, it's just talking about yourself, right? What could be so hard about it? The thing is, it's exactly because you're just talking about yourself that you're probably going to be the worst judge of how good your answer actually is, because you're the one that came up with the answer and you're already putting your best foot forward. And in your eyes, that is already like the best answer you could possibly come up with. So if I were to ask you, what exactly was wrong with your performance or what exactly is wrong with your answer, you're most likely not going to be able to tell me, right? And so if you can't tell me how you can improve your own answers, then unless you are 100% confident that whatever answers you've come up with for your behavioral questions are already perfect and there's no room for improvement whatsoever, then you're probably not going to get the results that you want, right? Because given how competitive investment banking recruiting is, if your answers are not, close to being perfect as possible, you're not going to beat out everyone else, right? Like behavioral answers are graded on a curve, meaning it's not about whether your answers are right or wrong. It's about whether your answers are better than other people's answers and whether you stand out from other people, right? And so one, you need to be able to calibrate whether your answers are actually better than other people's answers, and most people can't do that because they only know what they're saying themselves, but they have no idea what their competition is actually saying. This is again where that experience comes in, where if you've seen a lot of different people interview, you can actually assess how good your answers actually are. But most college students simply have never ever done that, right? Or they haven't done it enough. Maybe like you're like me and you've practiced with other upperclassmen or students in some student organization that you're in, but like that's not the same thing, right? And the second thing is a lot of times, even if you know where you're at. Let's say you figure out that, hey, my answer is only a 6 out of 10. Like if there were 10 people interviewing for this job today, my answers would be better than 6 of them. Okay, first of all, it's really hard to know that without the experience, but even if you do know that, then the next question becomes like, how do you get from a 6 to a 10? And most likely, if I were to ask you how you're going to improve your answer by 10% or 20% or 30%, make it 30% better, you're not going to know how to do that, because if you did know how to do that, you would have already done it, right? It's not like you're holding back on the quality of your answers on purpose, right? So that's the second thing. And then the last thing is, let's say even if you perfected all of that and you had the perfect answer written out and prepared and memorized and you start using it, again, going back to the first point I made, like a really like the most important part of your behavioral answers and just any interview questions in general is your delivery, right? And if you ask me about my delivery back then, like, I might not have thought it was the best, but I certainly wouldn't be as embarrassed about it as I am today, because I just didn't know what I know today, right? And so it's really, really useful, and it's honestly really, really important to get feedback from someone who has that type of experience and can accurately help you assess just how good or not good your answers actually are. And if your answers aren't so good, someone who's experienced enough to be able to tell you the exact changes you need to make for your answers to be, a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, right? And the only people that are going to be able to do that for you are people who basically know exactly what the bankers are looking for and what they want to hear, right? Because that's really what the behaviors come down to, is like you got to kind of get inside the interviewer's head, since it's kind of subjective, and you got to know what they're looking for, right? And so unless you've been a banker before, or you've spoken to a ton of bankers, or you've interviewed clients as a banker, you're most likely not going to know what they're looking for, right? So this honestly is one of the biggest value adds that we provide for our clients. It's just leveraging that amount of experience, not just for myself, but cumulatively speaking, for all of the clients that we've ever worked with, seeing all of their answers and then knowing the type of results that they got. So there's a lot of just knowledge there around like what works and what doesn't, right? A lot of A/B testing or trial and error that's already been done for you on your behalf, that all of our clients now get the benefit from, right? And so if you're not already a client for us, then unfortunately I have to say it's really, really hard to get the type of feedback that I just described. And I know that I myself certainly didn't have that back when I was recruiting. And I honestly, I wish I did, because it would have made my life a lot easier. Like I I got rejected by probably over 20 different banks for full-time before I finally got my offer at Deutsche Bank, right? I'm super grateful that I got it, but I just as easily could have not gotten it, right? And, that was in a recessionary environment in 2008, kind of similar to the type of environment that we're in now, we're about to enter, because everybody thinks there's a recession coming up. Even when I got my job at Deutsche Bank, I got to the Super Day and there were 12 of us at the Super Day and there was only one job, right? That's why I said, like, if you really think about it, like, if you're being graded on this curve on a scale of 1 to 10, you got to be at a 10 on a relative basis. Like, if you're not, and there's like 12 spots for one job, you're just not going to be the person that gets that one job, right? So that's honestly what we would love to help you with, is take all of our knowledge and our experience and this huge sample size of data that we have and help you fix the things that you don't even realize you need to fix right now about your behavior anxious. And I guarantee you, for the vast majority of you, maybe not 100% of you, but for like 9 out of 10 people in here, there's probably a lot about your behavioral questions or answers that you can still improve on. You just don't know what they are right now. Okay? So if you agree with the things that I've said in this video and you feel like you could benefit from reshaping your behavioral answers and your stories and your strengths and weaknesses and your answers to, like, tell me about a time when you've done XYZ, whatever it may be, if you need help with those things to make yourself stand out and make yourself become basically the best candidate you can be, especially in this type of environment where only the best candidates are going to be hired because the bar has been raised, right? They're going to be hiring fewer people in the upcoming cycle. That means that if you're the best candidate, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be impacted, right? If you're a borderline candidate or you're a fringe candidate, like where you might have squeezed in before and like have gotten that offer, like now you're probably not going to get the offer, right? So it's no longer good enough. So you have to make sure that you really do everything you can in your power to become the best candidate you can be. And a big part of that starts with the behavioral questions, because that's how you're going to set yourself apart from your competition. It's not going to be your technicals. Technicals, you absolutely got to know it, but that's a check the box type of thing. That's a bare minimum. Anybody who's worthy competition to you will know their technicals as well. You're not going to stand out solely based on that. You're not going to get an offer just because you know your technicals. Okay, so again, if you want help with your behaviorals, then I would encourage you to reach out to us, okay? You can first start by booking a free strategy session with our team. And basically, I'm going to drop a link down here in the comment section. And book through that link. You'll hop on a phone with someone on our team, or you might even hop on the phone with me directly, depending on the calendar and how it works out. And we'll talk to you about your situation and how your recruiting process has been going and what you're currently struggling with. And if part of what you're struggling with is behaviorals, then you should tell us that on the phone, and we can talk about why you're struggling with the behaviorals and how we might be able to help you with that. Or if we don't think we can help you, at a minimum, we will do our best to give you our advice on what we think we would do if we were in your shoes. Okay, so at a minimum, you'll get to talk to us for about an hour and get some free advice, and then walk away and implement that on your own. If you but if you want more than that and you decide that you want to work with us and it's good, and we decide that we would like to work with you too, which is not always the case, but if it's a good fit, then we can absolutely talk about what that might look like. Okay. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys had a good laugh at my expense, or at the expense of the 2008 version of me. I hope this has been a great learning experience for you guys, and I will talk to you guys again the same time next week. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk soon. Bye.